Can you guys all hear me? Yeah? Awesome. My name is Tim Castiglione. I'm the team president and EV team lead for Highlander Racing here at UCR. For those of you guys that don't know who we are, we're the Formula SAE team at UC Riverside, Formula Society of Automotive Engineers, but if you guys are here, you probably already knew that. So what I'm going to do this evening is kind of go through a quick presentation on our team and who we are, as well as our current project, and then we can move forward and go ahead and show you guys what we've been working on for the past few months. So what is SAE? I'm sure most of you guys probably already know this. SAE is a Society of Automotive Engineers. It's an international organization that hosts multiple collegiate design competitions, as well as dynamic competitions. Formula SAE specifically, what we compete in, is a design competition, collegiate across most of the colleges or a lot of universities across the US and even internationally, where college students design, build, and compete with Formula style race cars each year. Our team specifically was initially established in 2001 with our first vehicle competing in 2009. The team kind of went on and off for a couple years until 2015 when we actually established a firm foundation. We were able to continue moving on with building new cars each year, and the current team is of that, the 2015 startup, and we've grown our team from that point on in the past several years. In the past few years, we've grown our team from just around 10 team members, core team members, trying to put together one of these projects all on their own, to close to 75 team members, which we're really excited about, and it opens a lot of doors for our teams to be able to perform a lot better in our design competitions, being able to hand off more tasks and tackle even bigger tasks as we move forward. Sorry. Moving forward, along with the advancement of our team growing, as well as you saw, different majors being implemented in our team. To touch back on that, we are a very interdisciplinary organization on campus, unlike what FSE teams might be thought of as just mechanical engineering clubs. Specifically, the electric car has moved us forward quite a bit and implemented a lot of different majors such as computer science, electrical engineering, computer engineering, as well as even business majors to handle all of our financial needs, marketing, outreach, sponsorship, presentations, stuff like this event is able to be handled by our business team rather than the engineers focusing on stuff like that, as well as film majors to handle all of our photography and filming for advertisements moving forward, and even bio majors and chem majors, not necessarily contributing in a way that reflects their major, but contributing just because they like race cars. Moving forward with sponsorships, none of this would be possible without a core sponsorship group backing our team both financially and with things like materials, supplies, equipment. We wouldn't be able to do any of that stuff without sponsorship. Specifically, a lot of the guys are here this evening, so we couldn't make it. But we wouldn't be able to do this without you guys, and that's one thing that's helped our team grow throughout the past few years, is building a really strong foundation of sponsors to be able to move our team forward and attempt more outrageous and advanced goals for our team. As well as an alumni network, which also helps, kind of the same deal as sponsorship. Being able to draw back from our alumni each year as they graduate and go on to industry, and are willing to come back and help us out, not necessarily financially or with sponsorship, but being able to give us advice or doing things like design reviews and helping us just passing on their wisdom that they've gained in industry and throughout FSE and throughout their college career. Our mission here at Highlander Racing is to, first off, educate our team members. We are at a university, so that's one of our primary goals, is teaching the things that you might not necessarily learn in a lecture or a class. Meaning the hands-on skills that you might not get in a lecture, or the skills like you wouldn't think of being necessary in industry straight out of college, like being able to order supplies or talk to sponsors, stuff like that. So being able to handle all those things you might not learn specifically in classes teaching our members about stuff like that and helping them become more educated in a professional network. And being able to push the boundaries of FSE teams. That's something that's pretty hard to do if you're only a second or third year team such as ourselves, but that's a pretty big goal of ours, as you'll see with our current project, trying to push what we're capable of as well as what FSE teams everywhere are capable of. So why an electric car? I know a lot of you guys are real die-hard car guys and you're going, oh, electric, that's not very cool. It doesn't sound cool, it's not nearly as fast, it doesn't smell cool. Well, the electric car is something that it took us a lot of debate to decide on, should we move forward with attempting electric car? And some of the things behind that decision came from, specific team members really having a passion about it, as well as things like industry moving forward and where industry is headed, right? We've seen a lot of advancement in the electric car industry in the past decade or so, and it seems to be where industry is headed. And for an organization where their chief goal is to educate team members on that technology and being able to get them jobs in industry straight out of college and get them experience, it's going to get them the kind of jobs that you want. Well, if industry is heading towards that, we should probably head towards that too. That way we can further educate our members on the things that industry is focusing on. So that was one of the chief things, as well as being able to implement different majors, like I mentioned, computer science, computer engineering, electrical. Those are things that weren't necessarily as crucial or didn't play a big part in an internal combustion car. So being able to implement more things like that, as well as from a sponsorship aspect, being on the forefront of technological development with something like an electric car. It's a lot more exciting and tends to portray the image that we're pushing the boundary a little bit more than doing something that's already been done for a long time. So that gives us a lot more opportunity to do things that nobody's ever done. Goals for this electrical vehicle project. This one's a big one, and it's something that we were actually able to achieve this year with our internal combustion car, and that's passing technical inspection in the first round. Which, for those of you guys that have tried to do that, it's a pretty big deal to be able to pass the extreme strenuous tech inspection that they hold at FSA Lincoln or Michigan for that. So being able to pass tech inspection for the first time with an IC car, internal combustion car, that alone is difficult. And then you add on a whole other set of rules, almost doubling the size of the rule book for an electric car, it gets that much more difficult. So being able to pass tech inspection the first round, realistic or not, is a goal that we're going to try to achieve with this car. And to put that into portrayal, just passing tech inspection alone in the electric car field gives you a top 15 position. So that's one of our main goals. The other goal is to develop a strong EV foundation. For moving forward, we're going to go ahead and focus on EV for the next few years until proven wrong otherwise. Maybe we should go back to IC eventually, or maybe we should do both at the same time. But from now, for the next few years, we're going to go ahead and focus on EV. In order to do so, we sought out to build a strong foundation for the next few EV cars. For this being our first electric car, it takes quite a bit to build a foundation and build that knowledge database to be able to develop an electric car. It's a whole new realm of technology and knowledge. So being able to build that foundation where we can continue to develop electric cars from this point forward is another one of our big goals. As well as another big goal is to be the first United States team to have a four-wheel independently driven electric vehicle with custom designed electric motors, powertrain, batteries, so on and so forth. That goal has since been proven to be less of a goal because somebody's already done it. They actually did it this previous year, so if we would have started the car a year earlier, we probably would have been one of the first. There's only 2 teams in the United States besides us that actually ran in-hub motors, 4-wheel drive, independent electric motor vehicle at last year's competition. So if we would have been, we would have been the third car. Quick overview, probably doesn't do me much good because I'm going to go into detail here. The sub pack for as you guys know, electric cars are powered by batteries. So the sub-pack is a custom liquid-cooled lithium-ion battery pack. We've got 4 individual sub-packs that make up the full pack. Each individual sub-pack is water-cooled. Another thing to note is that we are, as far as we know, the first team in the United States to run a water-cooled battery pack in Formula SAE, which is pretty exciting. Custom electric motors, we are the only people in the world that have the electric motors that we have. They're custom designed for our car. We worked with a company called Joby Aviation up north to go ahead and develop these electric motors for our vehicle specifically, and machined a lot of the components for them in-house. They are rated at around 42 horsepower peak and only weigh 9 to 10 pounds. And then the powertrain assembly that kind of combines the motor with the planetary gear reduction that's been implemented. It's a 8.051 gear ratio, all housed inside a single upright produced by planetary gear reduction. Body and aero. This is one of the things that we've tried to implement a little bit better on this year's car that we didn't on the past car, implementing a body that's more effective aerodynamically, even if it's just simple things like reducing drag. We're not producing any downforce with this car. We're not trying to do anything crazy with it. The goal was just to reduce drag. So that was the main objective for this year's body and aero team, was to go ahead and make something that was effective, not necessarily anything out of the ordinary by producing things like downforce. Something simple to just reduce drag is another step above what we were able to do last year with our IC car. Electrical subsystems. This is a completely new addition to our team structure because it's not something that's implemented at an extremely large base for an internal combustion vehicle. Whereas the electric vehicle, a lot of the structure is based on the electrical subsystems. So this was something we were starting from ground zero on, and much of which is actually custom designed. For example, this board is something that's custom designed by our electrical engineers on our team and sent out to be printed and are one-off for this vehicle. Not only this board, but other boards on the car, as well as the various wiring harnesses and setup for the battery pack, so on and so forth. So electrical subsystems, like I said, is something completely new to us at this large of a scale. So it was something we had to spend a lot of time developing, and being able to work with electrical engineers and computer engineers to get this far was really exciting for us. Drivetrain. This might be arguably the most complicated bit on this vehicle. As you can see, it houses a planetary gear reduction inside the upright, meaning that it's housed outside in the wheels rather than being mounted on the frame like a traditional vehicle. Even most electric vehicles are mounted inside the frame. What this does is increase our packaging abilities, so it leaves us more space on the frame to shrink the frame, as well as fit things like a battery pack, which end up taking up more space than an internal combustion engine to meet the level of battery storage that we need, as well as eliminating things like rotating mass and friction and overall weight. This is reduced by the planetary gear reduction and the motors being mounted externally out in the wheel uprights. This is a pretty complicated piece, considering how many different components make up the assembly. A good 85 to 90% of the components you're seeing in the picture here are custom manufactured by us. So with the exception of the brake caliper and the internals on the motor and bolts, we make everything that's pictured here. Even the gears are done in-house. Motors, like I mentioned earlier, these are custom developed for our car, 42 horsepower. They're AC synchronous brushless motors, meaning they run on AC current provided to us by motor controllers, which are essentially converters from DC power to AC power. These are really lightweight motors for the amount of power they have, and being able to put 4 of them on the car, relative to an internal combustion vehicle that only makes around 80 horsepower, having 4 of these roughly 40 horsepower motors in the electric vehicle should make it perform quite a bit better. So this is actually a full assembly view of the battery full pack, which you guys will be able to check out outside on the table here in a little bit. Some cool things about this pack is, like I mentioned earlier, it's completely water cooled. So every sub-pack in there is water cooled. You'll see there's 4 individual sub-packs in it that make up the full pack, totaling out to over 100 volts for the system. Other things included in the battery pack are completely custom manufactured housings. The only thing we purchase as far as battery cells and technology go is the cells themselves. Those are outsourced from a company called Energy. They provide us the cells for this. They're lithium-ion pouch cells. They're about the size of an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, about the thickness of a magazine, and they're compressed in sub-packs. I believe it's 7S2P, meaning 7 of the cells are in series in sets of 2 in parallel that make up the sub-packs, totaling out to 14 cells in each sub-pack, making up the whole battery pack, and like I said, putting out over 100 volts. Chassis and suspension is another thing we aim to improve this year, improve upon our last chassis. The previous car, the internal combustion car, was rather small and didn't necessarily perform the way we thought it would. It was rather unstable, had a relatively short wheelbase compared to this one. That it was very hard to fit drivers. Ergonomically, it was not a great design. So one thing we sought out to improve this year was the ergonomics of the vehicle as well as the performance. There's a lot of new things that come up as far as unsprung weight and packaging. We have electric vehicles, so meeting or packaging something as dense as the battery pack rather than the electric or a gas engine brings its own challenges. So figuring out how to package that for our first electric car, as well as implementing effective suspension. We found these shocks called DVO air shocks last year for the gas car, and we just loved them. They're super adjustable, so we went ahead and ran with those this year as well. And the overall chassis design is just way more effective. A couple unique things on the car is the design of the belt cranks. The belt cranks are unique in the geometry of them, something not a lot of teams do, and actually improve the ratio and stiffness of it by decreasing the overall size of the belt cranks. So it's pretty cool stuff there. And now, without further ado, if I can have my team members help me out here. I would like to present to you guys the project we've been working on for the past 9 years. 3, I'll have you guys pull the cover. This is HR19. 3, 2, 1. I want to thank all you guys for being here again. Really appreciate it. Feel free to grab some food and hang out. Check out the car, talk to the team members. One thing I'd like to do while they're all kind of over there is introduce my officers. Starting with the body and aero team, I'd like to introduce Corey Robertson. Raise your hand. Moving on to battery, Edward Ponce. Ergonomics, Zoo. Drivetrain is Lane Iverson. Powertrain, Zach Ayas. Chassis and suspension is Eric. Who am I missing? Missing anybody? Oh, electrical subsystems. Cool. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, feel free to go talk to them, chat with the team members, check out a couple of vehicles, and thank you again for being here. Appreciate it. Good night, guys.
Keep asking? Yeah.